I had to, when we lived in Newcastle.
Now that it's recording, everybody will get quiet.
Yes.
No Pierson times on Halloween too.
Sue, I have something for you. I was going to hand you, but since you're not here, we'll put it in the mail to you this week.
Safe Halloween. And
Okay,
so like the Lions Club. And
thanks.
I forget what it is, but Steve said, will you give this to Sue? And I said, sure. And, but since I can't, we'll mail it to you.
We go and we pass out candy and kids come to the fire department. And we sit outside at these tables like I'm gonna do tonight. And
Dale, when did you say the temperature was in Iowa?
Mornings are in the 40s, or we're going down to about 20. We actually were up to 60 yesterday during the day, but it's been really rainy most of the week. It's just dry. Yesterday was first dry day we've had in quite a while.
We're gonna have a whole bunch of dry days before the guys can get back in the field. It's so muddy.
Yeah.
Most of the harvest is done here.
Oh, wow.
There's people that I still have stuff to do. It's been pretty wet for the last week anyway.
Steve says we're half done with beans and only about a third done with corn, and they always try to be done by Thanksgiving, so
Yeah.
they're gonna make it this year.
It's supposed to be dry this week.
Yeah, there's a nice long stretch of dry coming up, but it's gonna take at least 4 days or so for it to dry out enough they can even get in the field, so.
Well, my brother-in-law's done. I know that, but
But these days, it being so big and heavy.
Right. Fortunately for us, we do all of it as close to no-till as possible, which means that they can get back in the field sooner.
Yeah.
But it's still, the equipment is, you're right, is huge and heavy, and so it makes a mess when the fields are now.
Hi, Dave Mills. Hi, John and Betty.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So what's the weather in Florida? We just checked out Iowa.
Well, this morning it is 72 and sunny. Very nice.
Well, phooey on you.
Yeah,
It just got out of the 80s. It was in the 80s every day for the last several days up until yesterday, I guess, or even 80, 82 yesterday.
kind of sideways there.
That's Dan Berger. He's a scance.
but that's, oh yeah, there you go.
Don't get this.
There, now he's right side up.
Well,
The screen.
his picture is.
Yeah.
Let's see, Sue's at home again this morning. It has not been to church.
Yes, Sue's at home again. She and the kitties.
Well, last night at 1:30 in the morning, somebody rang my doorbell several times.
Wow.
So don't know who it was and didn't check on it, but I naturally was wide awake.
Of course.
You pay your telephone bill?
Yes.
There's Megan. What's the weather like in Massachusetts? We've been doing weather reports.
It's mild and sunny. It rained quite a bit last night. I mean, there was a lot of puddling on the roads, which I happen to know because I was driving back from the airport. We were in California last week, where it was very pleasant and mostly sunny as well.
California. Where in California?
Southern California. We flew into LAX and we stayed in Glendale outside of Pasadena, and Dick's got family out there, the Armenian contingent. So we visited a lot of elderly Armenians.
Armenians.
Food's good.
Did it dry out in Indiana any? Is Steve harvesting this week?
They're still waiting. It's so muddy.
She's trying so
Huh.
hard.
Yesterday was the first day it didn't rain.
The last time we came to do
Wow.
it was so annoying.
Hey, when we were flying over the nation, we saw this, there was an area where there were, looked like they were round fields. They're like little round dots all over the countryside.
Irrigation,
Yeah, irrigation.
irrigation. It mounts in the center and a wheel goes round and round and round. And that's how you see the green.
But don't they have them around here? I know they're up along the tollway, okay, where we see the irrigation things that go around.
For the soil sandier.
The ground needs to be pretty flat for it to go round and round and round and work that way. It's pretty hilly in central Indiana.
Yeah, that's true. People don't know about our hills. I never would have thought you were hilly until I moved here. And a friend who grew up in Bloomington said, you got to make sure you have your tires on right, Sue. And this is for a guy who doesn't drive. He said, you got to know how to drive in snow. I said, I know how to drive in snow.
I had college friends from the East Coast, and they didn't know till they were seniors that there were hills in Indiana.
Well, that include me, hey, because it just doesn't happen. You think, but then everybody thinks of New York State as New York City, and it's not that way. 90% of the area is farm country. So, and I grew up on a mini farm of Christmas trees and things like that. And 17 head of cow, beef cattle, and crazy critters. There's, like, so that's why I like living where we do here in Plainfield, because I can see the critters occasionally. So it's nice.
What kind of critters?
Oh, my dad decided in midlife that he wanted to be a farmer again. So we got a half Angus, half Holstein heifer by the name that we named Beefsteak. And Beefy provided meat, and other babies. And they had, it was fun. We grew hay. We harvested our own hay because we had 50 acres, and we had, I want to say 6,000 to 9,000 Christmas trees on the back 40. A couple of times, instead of taking vacations other places, we went up on the back 40 and camped out. That was our staycation when there weren't staycations in the late 50s, early 60s. So, and then we had a pony and some chickens and some pheasants and some rabbits and things at various times. So, and then of course there were deer, and there's still deer in that property. A friend of my sister's from high school, or actually it's my friend of my brother's, owns the house I grew up in, and occasionally he'll take pictures and there are the deer. I said, what do you think, guy? Hey, it's not called deer. We didn't call it Deer Acres for nothing. You're going to see the deer all the time because it's right next to the tiny village's waterworks. So plenty of cover and grass for them to eat over there. So
Your dismount was lovely.
Oh, thank you.
Sue and Norma were fixing the clock.
Lynn and Norma.
I mean, Lynn and Norma were fixing the clock, and Chip and I were going, now what could go wrong with Lynn standing up to Norma being the spotter? Yeah.
It's not till next week, is it?
Pardon?
It's not till next week, is it?
What?
time
No,
change.
The time
No,
change.
just it to be correct. If the clock on the wall's slow,
It's been wrong for a month.
it's been slow for months. They were setting it at the right time, and we just were thinking, uh-oh. But they did good. Well, I think Norma has the prelude for us, so we'll send her in to listen to that. And when we come back, we'll do joys and concerns.
Think about it, so.
Well, good morning all again. Are there joys or concerns to share as we center into worship?
I'm just happy we don't have any rain today.
Well, if you'd put yourselves on mute, please, just to help avoid feedback and others noises. Chip is the worship leader, so we'll center into silence, and Chip will speak out of the silence as he feels led.
Well, I shared the fact that I was going to talk about snakes in my message today. And my friend Bill said, "That's great. I'm sure you'll be able to work in Elizabeth Taylor and Cleopatra in your message." I told him I wasn't going there. And Drake said that Norma should play Thriller and I should moonwalk down the aisle to the facing bench. I told him that wasn't going to happen either. I did want to do something a bit different for the 5th Sunday, and it being Halloween. Now, my research, I watched the film The 10 Commandments twice. I also got information on other texts and the Bible. Now, I'm not a Bible reader. In fact, the printing in my Bible is so small for me to read, I just pull it up, any scriptures I want to read on Google. I must say I found some really interesting things about Passover. But in my message, but worry, information did not come from the Bible. But I put it in as it fit with my message, but this may be fake news, but that fits in. Happy Halloween. In my continuing series, All I Learned About the Bible, I Learned from the Movies. My message is a scary one, and it's about snakes. Now, before I start, I want to explain about poetic licensing. You see, when you make books into movies, a lot of times the producer or the director or the writer suggests changes be made or dialogue added to make the movie flow better or make it more interesting. The plot usually stays the same, but in much dialogue is added or locations change just to make the movie more up to date and fit with the times. I have done this as I was not on site when my message happened. Now back to snakes. Well, back to how they evolved through time. The first snake was a serpent back in the Garden of Eden. He walked on all fours, and like other animals, lived in harmony with the other animals and with people. Well, one day the serpent walked over to Eve and said, "You are never going to believe this, but this is true. That tree of knowledge, you know, the one God told you and Adam not to eat from, or you will die." Well, God lied. "No," said Eve. "Yes, it's true. You won't die. In fact, if you eat of the fruit, you will have the same knowledge as God. You will be smart as God." "Really?" said Eve. Then the serpent told Eve to go get Adam and plead with him that you both need to eat of the fruit. "But remember, don't mention my name, and if anything goes wrong, blame it all on Adam." Eve couldn't wait to run to Adam and tell him she just had to have an apple from that tree of knowledge. Adam said no, but Eve kept whining till Adam gave in. He picked the apple and handed it to Eve. "No, you must taste it first. After all, you are the man." So Adam bit into the apple. He choked for a minute, and part of the apple stuck in his throat. But he didn't die. So Eve took a bite, and then they ran away. Soon God dropped by the garden and could not find the couple. "Adam, Eve, where are you?" "We're over here, Lord." "Why are you hiding?" "Because we're naked." God said, "Who told you this?" "No one. We ate of the fruit of the knowledge tree, and our eyes were open, and we could see for ourselves." God was not happy and asked why they had done such a thing. Eve jumped up and said that the serpent made her do it. "Well, I will deal with him later, but for now, I'm evicting you from the garden. You must deal with everything without my help. Go now, work hard for your food, and Eve, you will have much pain in childbirth." And Adam said, "What about Lilith?" And God said, "One problem at a time." Adam and Eve left the garden, and the animals ran amok and began fighting. God found the serpent and cursed him and took away his legs, called him a snake and made him crawl on his stomach and eat dust. Well, as time passed and through evolution, and by now we get to the book of Exodus, also known as the 5 books of Moses, the snake grew back 2 legs and added 2 arms. He was still a snake, but he was able to walk upright and pass as human. Now, the book of Exodus is a great story of plagues, murder, mystery, Passover, God getting his people out of Egypt and the parting of the Red Sea and the 10 Commandments. It would be a wonderful movie, and was. I am sure most of us know all about Moses and how he was saved by an Egyptian princess, then was found in a basket floating down the Nile. He grew up in the palace, and as an adult, found his birth mother, discovered he was Hebrew, was told by a snake named Dathan, and was banished to the desert, and was told on by a man named Dagon, and was banished to the desert, where he found the love of his life and also God in the form of a burning bush. Well, God told Moses to get his people out of Egypt. That brings us to the point where Moses goes back to the palace to confront Pharaoh and tell him to let God's people go. It didn't go well, so God sent several plagues. There was no rain, bad water, bugs, and frogs, and there were 10 plagues in all. God told Moses to get the elders together, as the next and last plague would be that the firstborn of man and cattle would die at midnight. Moses was given instructions that must be followed exactly to save the people. Kill a perfect male lamb, take some of the blood and put it on the 2 sides of the post and the top of the door frame of your house. Cook and eat the rest. Now, this brought on quite a lot of conversation, like, I don't have a year-old male lamb. Why do I have to cook the lamb that way and burn the leftovers? That's real waste. Too many hoops to jump through. Would chicken blood work, as I have a really mean rooster? We have never done this before. How do we know it will work? I think you just made this whole thing up to make prices go higher for lambs. And finally, this is all fake news, as nothing is going to happen. See, Moses thought it was going to be a simple thing to let his people know what God had said. He was shocked and shook his head. At midnight, the angel of death appeared and visited the houses that were not marked with the lamb's blood, and the firstborn male of that house died. There was a great mourning when the sun came up, and even Pharaoh's son had died. Moses was sent for and told to get his people out of Egypt. Take what you want, but be gone. Now this brings us back to the snake Dathan. He was a slaveholder, and one of the slaves was firstborn. So her friend put lamb's blood on the pillars and over the door where she lived. That next morning, all the household were sent away. Dathan confided with the general and said he would bring them back. All went well. The Red Sea opened, and Moses led his people through. And when the army of Pharaoh followed them, the sea closed up and they died. It went well until the group got to camped at Mount Sinai. Moses was gone for 40 days and nights, and the people grew impatient and worried, and Dathan saw his chance. Moses is dead, he told the crowd. And then he told the people they could go back to Egypt, not as slaves, but as followers of a golden god, an Egyptian god. And his followers spread the word, make a golden calf with all the gold we have plundered. And so they did. Dathan then got the people all stirred up, and the Hebrews sinned greatly and were looking forward to returning to Egypt. Dathan was a snake, but his followers believed he was now their leader and could do no wrong. Moses came down from the mountain, and the party was over. The snake was killed, and the wicked perished. This is the end of my message, and now for the scary part. The snakes are still amongst us, dividing, spreading false information, and putting the blame of what is wrong with the world on others as they worship false prophets. Be aware and trust in God, and this COVID angel of death will pass over your house.
the message this morning is just so appropriate for today's world as it was any time in history, or any of the stories or happenings in the Old Testament and the New, that we always need to listen to God, to follow what He directs us, how He directs us and leads us. And we need to make our daily constant contact with God in order to know what the direction is, and then find it our responsibility to follow His leading. Thank you for your message today.
We'll now transition into unprogrammed worship. Um, we know some folks will be signing off. You're welcome to rejoin us at 10:45 for Sunday school. And blessings on us all. As we come to the close of our meeting for worship, are there any thoughts that friends would like to share before we end worship? And then we'll take a break and come back for Sunday school at 10:45.
Thank you for your message, Chip.
Thank you. It was good.
Thank you.
Well, blessings on you all and us all, and hopefully we'll see you next week. We're in a few moments when we look at the life of Bathsheba and see what Chip has learned from movies about Bathsheba and as compared to what's in the Bible. Okay, take care.